What is going on, guys? Hope you're doing well today, tonight, wherever you are in the world. It's 10:30 a.m. in the morning here in Sydney, so still a bit cooked looking after the kids this morning, so just bear with me. But let me know if you can hear me in the comments below. Just drop a comment. This is from Valor Sports Cards. He was in here a bit early. Philly Joe, how's it going? Just let me know if you can hear me, please. We'll get started shortly. I just need someone to confirm they can hear me. Perfect, thanks, mate. So not a whole lot I have to talk about today. I want to talk about something that happened with Arena Club in the last week, where it looks like they're sending some emails to people that, you know, are pretty sketchy in my opinion. I'm probably going to talk about this in a video in a couple days time, and then I also want to give an update on this whole Patrick Ryan market manipulation, shielding accusations, because he's come out with a formal apology to Jeff Wilson and Teapot. So I want to talk about that as well, to give you more insights into, you know, how that whole thing is going. It looks like StreamYard has a new feature where it lets you watch vertically. So I'm not sure if some of you guys are doing that, but let me know how that goes down in the comments below, because it looks a bit weird when I can see it from StreamYard, but yeah, it's a new feature, so I'm just testing that out today. So yeah, start dropping some questions, and we can jump into those as well. Don't have to go through what I've got on the agenda, but yeah, happy to chat as always. How's it going, mate? How's it going, Ken? Waffle House. Damn, we don't care if you have one bullet point or 1,000. I personally appreciate everything as a collector, brother, or mate, as you all say. Appreciate you. Yeah, I didn't know he did the interview, so I'm going to check it out afterwards. I just saw the screenshot pop up on Twitter, and then I only realized afterwards that he was in the screenshot. So I'll go ahead and check it out probably when we're done here. I sent Teapot a DM. He actually unblocked me on Instagram. I don't know what got me blocked years ago. I sent him a few messages just to sort of apologize if I ever did anything wrong or anything like that, because I am a nice guy. Some people don't think that. But he sent me a reply. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm curious to sort of see what's gone down. Because obviously, like, if you go through this whole Patrick Ryan situation, to have somebody accuse you of shill bidding is not a good thing, right? And he's obviously had a hard few days and not good. So anyway, we can chat through that in a sec. Vertical is okay, just hard to read chat over it. I think when you're in the YouTube app, you can specify how you want it to view. So if it's a bit annoying, let me know. But from what I can see, yeah, the chat is like showing up really tiny on screen. And then obviously it's obviously harder to watch the chat as well. And it looks like it puts the comments above my head, which is a bit awkward. I don't think I can fix that. But I think I can maximize my head on there. Yeah, sorry, just playing around with a few things. So yeah, any questions before we get into it? I'll give you guys a few minutes. How's it going, Brandon? Haven't really bought a whole lot lately. To be honest, it's been really hard to get motivated to buy cards lately, just of all the stuff that you're seeing, and you're seeing all these now things on auction houses and all these shill bidding accusations, and then comments from like Dr. Beckett. It's not an overly fun, you know, experience to go through, right? You got to sit there and question whether or not you're getting scammed every time you're buying a card. I've tried to buy a few things from shows here and there, but I'm getting really particular, really specific with what it is I want to try and buy. So things have slowed down. I've got a couple things here that I've shown off that I've bought recently. I've got some vintage tobacco cards actually that I've shown off before. I think these are from like the early 1900s. So I want to show those because I'm trying to build something pretty cool. I'm a keen fisherman, so I want to try and get these framed, and this will all make sense when you guys finally do see what I'm about to show you. So we'll share that a bit later. And apologies for all the rambling. Still early in the morning here. No idea how you keep up to date with everything going on. Must be exhausting. Appreciate your takes. Thanks for sharing. It honestly is, which is why you've probably seen some of my content reduce in the last 12 months or so. I was doing previously like 3, 4, 5 videos a week, 3 mandatory. I'd be doing them on like a Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. But it just got too overwhelming to keep up. And then work obviously got really busy for me this year, as I've talked about before. So I sort of focused in on that. But there's so much stuff that happens in this space. It's really hard to stay up on and on top of everything. So now I'm just more calculated with what it is I do talk about, and I think that carries a bit more weight as well, rather than talking about every little thing that is going on in this space. How's it going, Mikey? Waffle House, in my opinion, I think it's not good for Fanatics, like you said, owning the majority of the market. We need competition in the field. The shit thing with this, right, is that it's been like this with Panini for ages. So, like, I don't know how you argue against it, but it's not good for us. I don't think long term, especially now that they're bringing back Dutch auctions or they're testing them out again. It's just not good, and I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Thoughts on Professor Sports Card rise in popularity? Enjoyed your collab with him. He's been around for a while, but he sort of popped off a lot in the last few months. I saw AIH Sportsman on there, and I think I asked him if he was buying subs or something along those lines. I've asked him that question before. I've asked him if he's bought views. He's told me no. I think I'm still quietly curious about that, and I've told him that as well when we've spoken. But yeah, he holds people accountable, right? He does what people like myself and Sportscard Radio and AIH Sports have been doing for a long time. So the shtick isn't new, right? And holding people accountable isn't new, but it's good to have a different voice doing the same sort of thing, right? So we need more of that, and I like the fact that he's doing a lot of lives and getting people on there. So, we're probably going to collab a bit more over the next few months, because there's very few people in this space still today talking about these kinds of things. So we sort of need more of it together. How's it going, Antonio? Spike, cheers, Dan. Liked seeing you with the professor. I know he's going live in an hour or so, so I might pop in to see if I can. But I need to put my son down for a nap around that time, so might not be able to. But yeah, I like his stuff. So, well, it's in the middle of the morning for me, but I'm having a Pepsi Max. I need the caffeine a bit early, but curious to see what the rest of you are drinking. How's it going, Mark? In terms of what I wanted to specifically talk about, let me see if I can share my screen without breaking anything. The first thing is this here from Arena Club. So let me know when you guys can see it. You should be able to. But I saw this pop up on Twitter, I think 2 days ago. And I thought it was fake. And then I went to the Reddit subreddit where this came from. And had a look for myself, and it looks like there's probably 3 or 4 emails very similar to this going around. And I just think things like this are everything that's wrong with things like Arena Club, everything that's wrong with breaking at the moment, everything that's wrong with Fanatics Live and all those kinds of businesses where they're very much targeting people, and they're doing it in a way that's sort of preying on them. And I know people will challenge me on this, they have in the past, but when I see emails like this, it just makes me really uncomfortable. Now, this email has apparently gone to somebody that's bought off Arena Club before, but hasn't been there for a while. So you've got a post over here saying, we're worried about you. Hey, it's me, XYZ. The guy who writes all the emails at Arena Club. I normally don't send emails like this, but are you good? 1 minute you were ripping slab packs and then you just stopped. Hope everything is well. If it is, you should go rip another slab pack so my boss doesn't get mad at me for not being able to convince you to rip another pack. Thanks. And then there's a link there to rip a pack. And yeah, just really like predatory kind of stuff, in my opinion. I don't like the fact that they're sending people this. And when we've talked in the past around how these platforms are really close to gambling, right? Like, sure, you're guaranteed to get something, but the way in which they're sold, the way in which they're marketed, it's really hard to differentiate between gambling. And it seems to prey on those same, parts of your brain in order to get you to buy in and sort of spend your money. And when you're seeing emails like this, I just think it goes straight into that as well. And I don't like it. I think there needs to be more control around this. And, if you're somebody that's struggling with your spending habits and you've got mental issues as a result of it, like, sure, people are going to say you should be doing better yourself. You should be growing a backbone. But unfortunately, gambling and addiction is a disease, right? And that's been talked about for, a long, long time. Go read about it if you don't understand it. People can't help themselves. And like Orlando's saying over here, it's like offering drug addicts more drugs. And that's how I've talked about it before as well. When I've seen breakers in rooms, the bad ones, that is, not the good ones, because there are some good people out there, but predominantly the people that are doing this the wrong way, they're sort of enticing. It's like they're pushing drugs. They're a dealer. They're trying to push it onto the person, right? They're trying to get them to buy more. They're trying to get them to stay hooked. And it's just, unethical, in my opinion. And stuff like this is not good. And I've seen similar emails in the last few days. I saw Boston Card Hunter on Instagram share a couple of more. There was another similar one to this. There was one that actually had a coupon code in there to get some money off. It's just not good. And I don't like this aspect. When I talk about, this part of the industry, this is the stuff that I don't like, right? Where It's incredibly predatory, and it's, looking to take advantage of people. And I think more needs to be done to sort of stop this from happening. Maybe I'm in the minority there, but, it is what it is. Antonio, it's disgusting. Good morning, mate. How's it going, Brett? It's life cycle marketing. All good practice companies do it. Slimy that a company of that nature is so on the nose about it, questionable ethically. I agree. Like, they're well within their rights to market their business, right? But it's the way they're doing it. And, they're making a lot of money as it is. There's ways to sort of market their product without having to send an email like this. And when you see emails getting sent like this, that's where it takes it to that other level of predatory behavior, in my opinion. You can make your money. You're there as a business to do that. That's your prerogative. It's a free country. It's a free world. But stuff like this doesn't need to happen. And, I'd be more inclined to be okay with stuff like this if they've had things in the past that I've pushed for, right? You look at gambling apps here in Australia. I'm not sure if it's like that in the US, but there's ways where you'll get messages while you're gambling to, gamble responsibility. They remind you about the issues of gambling, like to take a step back. Like cigarette packets here in Australia, as an example, they no longer have branding on them, right? And they've got people that have died from cancer or had things wrong with them as a result of smoking on the label. You're seeing these disgusting images on there. You're seeing people's fingers and teeth get destroyed on the packaging, right? Because they know people want to smoke, but they want to try and prevent people from failing to be aware of the dangers of it, right? And you see that with gambling apps as well here in Australia, where they'll have similar messaging. They'll have features in there that allow you to sort of block yourself. They'll allow you to set spending limits. That stuff doesn't exist with any of these platforms. And when you look at the nature in which they're sold and the way people interact with them, it's exactly the same as these apps. So apologies, guys. It's exactly the same as these apps. So I don't like it. And the fact that those things are not there, and then you're seeing this kind of marketing done, I don't think it's good at all. They're getting desperate. Business model can't last. People don't want to get ripped off. I agree. But I think one of the things that people have lost is they're relying on new participants consistently coming in, because I can almost guarantee you that their recurring customer model isn't that high. I can't imagine, more than 20% of their customer base is recurring, aside from breakers. So if you take breakers completely out of it, the people that are going onto Arena Club buying directly, I'd be shocked if it was like more than 20%, 30%. I think they're consistently getting new people in because they're targeting, not collectors, they're targeting that bigger pool. Because there's no way that people will consistently buy this stuff and think, yeah, it's a good thing, I want to keep doing it. And yeah, it's a bit of fun. I'm not saying it's not fun. I've talked about liking breaking in the past. I've done it myself quite a lot. But when it's marketed like this, it's just a bit too much. Stuff is getting expensive, and I guess they have to reach for low-hanging fruit. I completely agree. And the person maybe doing this has commissions off the back of the number of people that click his link. Maybe that's not the case, but if I was the business, that's what I'd try and do, because you want to try and incentivize people to sort of get you more revenue. But that's where things go wrong. Greetings, Orlando. That people get mad when putting it out, they blame you for being negative, which this is also like a shitty thing, right? I was talking to Mike Geo yesterday in the DMs, and I think he made a video with that Tava dude. I forget his name. Is it Tristan Tava, something like that? Where they were talking about content creators getting hated on purely because they have a sponsorship. And it's ridiculous. Like, you could have a sponsor. You could be sponsored by Arena Club and, still be a good person, right? You just need to hold Arena Club accountable. You need to say, hey, I like taking money from you from Arena Club. I think you're a bit of fun, but stuff like this isn't good enough. And that doesn't happen when people are sponsored by them. And that's where the negativity comes in, because when you do challenge it, you're seeing it's negative. When in reality, you should be seen as just doing your job, right? You're holding a business accountable. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with getting paid and telling the business to be accountable at the same time. And I think people have lost that. And that's where the challenge comes in this space, which is why I didn't like that, reel that I saw on Instagram from Mike and that Tava dude, or whatever his name is. Because they framed it simply as, if you get sponsored, you're hated. Like, I'm sponsored now by Card Ladder. I've talked about that. I've still shat on PSA since getting that sponsorship. I'm sponsored by Ship My Cards and have been for a couple months now. I've been using them for a number of years. Like, I've got no problem if they make a mistake to say, hey, you guys stuffed up, or you need to do better. I don't understand why people that are getting paid fail to do that. That's the problem. It's not the fact they're taking money. It's the fact that when they take the money, their opinion changes. How can we convince collectors to abandon gambling aspects of the hobby? To be honest, I don't know. And I don't really think it's collectors that are doing it, right? Collectors are just the ones getting burned off the back of it. They're aiming for the kids, which really ticks me off crazy. I completely agree. One of the things that really pisses me off with these Topps Rip Nights that they hold at many card stores around the country, and I think around the world now, I think they've done some internationally, is that they've put breaking credit in the packs that they give to these kids. They give them $10 credit to go ahead and use Fanatics Live or whatever it is. Like, that's crazy to me. That's, to targeting kids to eventually get them wanting to use your sportsbook. Like, that's how I see it, and it's not okay. The wording of that email was absolutely predatory. I agree, and the other ones are worse. I just couldn't find them before this, and the way I need to present my screen, I'm getting really nervous about sharing something I shouldn't. So I've had to find all the images beforehand, so I'll get a bit better at that with these live streams. But there's some others on there. Boston Card Hunter covered it on Instagram. If he hasn't blocked you, go ahead and check it out. They have to get new customers because people eventually realize it's a losing proposition. Completely agree, which is why I think they just keep. That's why I'd be shocked if their recurring business model, once you exclude breakers, is anything more than 20-30%. It can't be. It doesn't make sense to be, because who's going to be consistently doing this aside from, I guess, people addicted to gambling? The whole industry is based on customer churn. Still room to keep it going, but it's a short-sighted strategy. I completely agree. But the industry shouldn't be based on that, right? You know, I've talked about this before as well. Collectors are like the annuity for this business, right? We're here. We're consistently spending money. We're the ones that are going to be buying the things that people don't want. We are the end consumer. Without collectors, there is no industry moving forward. And I think that's what people forget, and that's why it's also very short-sighted. So if things keep going on the trend that they are, that's where you sort of see things go wrong, because if collectors don't feel like they can participate, if they get priced out, if the product has become so oversaturated that they don't want to own it, who's going to buy these things? You know, flippers don't want to buy them. You know, these things are only worth money these days because the things at the base want to buy them. Like the base cards, the things that collectors want to own those things, right? So that's the only reason why everything else contains or gathers value. And that was a really poor way to explain it. So I'm sorry, but I think you get what I mean. They're also doing it with quote-unquote card games for kids like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, etc. To be honest, I don't think Pokemon's been as bad, but maybe I've not been paying super close attention to it. If people take a sponsorship, that's fine, but when you have a young audience, you are influencing people who may not know better, which is why you need to be transparent, right? And that's why you need to always be clear with what it is you're saying and who you're taking your money from. Like the fact that someone like Mojo Sports is happily taking Arena Club money when he's talked in the past about his audience being, you know, so heavily swayed to below 18-year-olds is insane to me. Like, pick and choose. And obviously what happens in this space is people become desperate. They need the money. They become reliant on their income from this channel. Things have dipped on YouTube when it comes to revenue because it's not like it was 2 years ago. So they're getting more and more desperate. They need to, you know, keep progressing with the life they've become accustomed to. So they start taking this money and things like that. So it's shit. And that's why it's so crazy for someone like him to be taking your money from a business like this. Breaking credits is definitely predatory, especially towards kids. I agree. How's it going, Raul? They are eventually going to plateau and start dumping. The monopoly is going to be insane. I think what is very interesting in the last couple of months, you've seen a lot of high-end collectors talk about the feeling like we're at the top and they're starting to sell things. And I know Patrick Ryan's been in the news for the wrong reasons in the last couple of weeks, but he's somebody that was downsizing. He was actually selling a bit of his collection because he felt things were at the top, and he's sort of got rid of his 100 card case. I think he said in a recent video. There's others with big Jordan collections doing the same thing. They're, you know, selling off a lot. So that tells me that they're getting a bit nervous about the sustainability of some of these things. And then when you look at all this shield bidding going on, it's like, well, are these things actually worth what they're selling for? Are these actually legitimate bidders? And that's getting more and more opaque, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. It's losing a lot of transparency. We collectors are not seen as important. The flashy money-making side seems to be the only focus. Look how every social media post is to promote the value of something, not the love of something. I completely agree. But it goes back to my point earlier, right? Collectors are the ones that, we're the end consumer. We're going to be buying these things. So they need to keep that front of mind. And at the moment, they're not doing that, right? So really frustrating, really annoying, but it's something they need to be actively thinking about because, you know, collectors want to collect, right? And if things keep following a trend where it's not being tailored towards them, they're not going to want to be here. What happened with Mojo opening a card shop? I think he changed his mind, which is good. I think when that first popped off, I called it pretty quickly. I said it looked like he was having, you know, a midlife crisis or something along those lines. He didn't look happy. You could see it in his eyes. He was saying words, but you could tell in his eyes that he was feeling not that good. And then in the preceding months, he's like since come out and said he's not doing it for almost exactly those reasons. He was trying to do something he didn't want to do and wasn't passionate about. And he just seems like a young man that's lost in life, to be perfectly honest with you. So hopefully he sorts his shit out. But pretty obviously that was going to happen. Because he knows the problem, unlike the biggest scammer, Jeff Wilson. I'm not sure who you mean when you say he knows. I failed to see Arena Club's value outside of being a thrill of gambling for those who enjoy that. I agree. I think people want to try and hit big, but it's primarily gambling. Raul, good to see you. Excellent appearance with the professor. Thanks for sharing. I only saw a small portion of it because I've been really busy with work, but I'll try and check it out this weekend. Yeah, I see a lot of collectors saying they're out of the game or downsizing collections. Like, I've done that myself. I just opened the video by saying I'm getting a bit more calculated with what it is I'm buying because, number one, I have a lot of what I want to own, and the things that I really, really want are too expensive. So I'm just trying to be more precise with what it is I'm buying. And apologies, my wife is vacuuming, so if you can hear that, I'm sorry. Like P. Ryan said about collectors, he called us idiots. Yeah, I think a lot of people have. And to be honest, I think he was misquoted with that, to be honest. But even if he wasn't, it's hard to argue against that. But yeah, I think a lot of them think of us like that, to be perfectly honest with you. Especially these businesses. I think they think we're idiots. So it's not good. Card shops out, card shows in. Thanks, Spike. How's it going, mate? So yeah, we can chat through a few other things. I want to bring up this Patrick Ryan apology now. So this was on, I think it's EDI Sports Cards, who's this guy over here on the top left. And apparently he issued this statement to old mate over here about Teapot, and then he had Teapot on his channel for an interview. And what Patrick has said is, and is that showing up? Can you guys read that, or do I need to zoom in a bit more? Let me see. On Sunday night, I posted unsubstantiated claims against Teapot and Jeff Wilson being individuals who protected the values of cards they owned by having others bid on them. That was wrong, and I apologize to them. And again, Patrick hasn't made this statement publicly himself, but he did it through EDI Sports Cards, who said he spoke to him as a sign of sincerity, and as a sign of appreciation for the great work the Sports Card Investor team has done in the world of non-profits. I've made a $50,000 donation to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta in their honor. During my hiatus from Sports Card social media, I'd like to remind people to not let moments of vulnerability make them subject to compromising their moral grounds. The good news is the hobby's full of many great people. I consider Jeff and Teapot squarely in that category. The bad news is that there are some unethical people in the hobby who will try and take advantage of you. I'm really curious to see what he means by that. Maybe he means people lied to him and gave him incorrect information. Also, I'd like to share, since many texted asking, that my mum is well on her way to a full recovery after being in a life-threatening car accident this weekend. Be there for your family wherever possible. The prayers and well wishes of so many was very powerful. Again, my apologies to Jeff and Teapot. I'm excited to continue to watch the great charity work they do, as it's an example to everyone, myself, and as it's an example to everyone, myself especially. Apologies. So yeah, like, you guys can make up your own mind on that. Like, I think it's a really dangerous territory for him to be in, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, because he came up with these claims pretty black and white, and he was somebody that was sort of, threatening people to delete videos, talking about legal action, and then he came out and literally made accusations towards people that could be seen as none other than defamation, right? He's basically told the world that Teapot has shielded on items. Now, I think Teapot has since put out an Instagram story that I saw right before coming on here, where he talked about the disappointing thing is that a lot of people would have seen his initial accusations and probably won't see this statement, which is why I'm sharing it today, because obviously it's not good to have accusations go against you. So I want to try and bring it to everyone's attention in case you haven't seen this. But one of those things where it's just crazy to me. I don't know why he would have come out in the first place and made those accusations, being somebody that was just getting frustrated, being accused of shield bidding and market manipulation. To me, I feel like this is, like, my personal opinion here, right, is this is a defense, right? I think he maybe has proof, but he's just trying to build something to show it, or somebody lied to him. I find it very odd that he would have gone out of his way. He doesn't seem to be like a dumb dude. He seems to be a pretty smart man to go out and do that if he didn't have the proof. So, like, I don't know. I think we just take it for what it is right now. We take it as being bullshit, like he did say over here, and hopefully for Teapot that gets him some grief taken away. But yeah, one of those ones. I want to know what you guys have to say down below. So I'm going to catch up on comments now, but it's just weird to me how he would come out with those statements and then backtrack pretty quickly. Yeah, and it's not what it is, Philly. People don't understand what running a card store is like. It's a business, right? It's not a passion project for most people that end up doing it. They think we are mindless consumers, but we're getting really picky. Like you said, we're choosing what we want to own and not just get everything. Exactly. It's not going to be around forever, right? The gravy train is not going to be there. People can only go out to shows and buy out tables. They can offer 90% of comps, 80% of comps, if they've got somebody to sell that shit to. And it's the same thing with repacks and breaking, right? Those things are only profitable because somebody is the end consumer. Somebody is buying those They're gambling, they're losing money, and then they're selling it and they're trying to liquidate. And the collector is the one that's buying that sort of stuff. If the collectors turn away and don't want to be the end consumer anymore for these kinds of things because they're fed up with the industry, or they're not happy with the product or the volume or the types of cards that are being created because it's being targeted towards this, whole breaking aspect, they're not going to be there. And if they're not there, these things aren't going to be worth shit. So anyway, such bullshit damage control. It's like how I read it personally, but we have to take it for what it is on face value as being a legitimate apology. Kiwi cards zoom in. Hopefully it was zoomed in once I did go through it. Can't be mad at the kids for shilling now. Well, an apology. How's it going, Bob? You watched the video. I left it feeling terrible for Teapot. He didn't deserve to be dragged through the mud because of his ties to Jeff Wilson, but it didn't even appear to be just because of his ties, right? It seemed to be very specific with the things that he said. I'm pretty sure there was an exchange with Ryan, was it, from Sports Card Radio, about him having evidence. I think they showed a screenshot of some text messages on screen that were allegedly from Patrick, saying he's going to go scorched earth and he's got the evidence. So I find this whole thing really weird, unless he's just talking out of his ass because he's on a sinking ship and he's trying to take everyone down with him. But I just don't think that's him, right? He just doesn't seem to be that kind of person. But again, I don't know him, right? I've only talked to him over messages for the last couple of years on Instagram, so it is what it is. An expensive crash out by P. Ryan, because I think he donated 50 grand here, and then he donated, was it 50 grand or 25 grand or 10 grand somewhere else? So yeah, he's obviously got the money, but not good. 100K donation, so it was 50 and 50. So good thing for charity, right? There's one positive outcome out of this, and that's obviously awesome that people are going to be benefiting from it. But yeah, donating is not going to make things better, right? Donating is not going to make people feel better about these accusations if they are false, right? You've said they're false here, but if they are actually false and you don't have evidence in the background, I don't think donating to charity helps you all that much. Saw that earlier. Teapot was wronged by P. Ryan and deserved an apology. I agree. 100K isn't going to change. Exactly. Like 100K is not going to change the fact that you bid on your own card. It's not going to change the fact that you change your story. It's not going to change the fact that you miscommunicated things and your interview with Dr. Beckett landed like a lead balloon. It's not going to change the fact that you've made accusations towards people and then backtracked on them. It's just odd. So like, I hope he looks like he's going through a hard time. So I just hope he sorts his shit out and, ends up being okay. But yeah, paying his way out, bunch of bull. That's how I see it, to be perfectly honest with you. That's just my opinion though. P. Ryan trying to restore his image with money. That's how it's being perceived. I agree, Orlando. Clowns to the left of me, clowns to the right of me, stuck in the middle with you. Teapot accepted this guy's apology. I'm moving on regarding this portion of the issue. Like, I agree, but like to Teapot's point in his Instagram story, like how many people haven't seen this video? How many people are not going to see my live stream? So, if you do hear people talking about this, at least be aware, because it's not good to have accusations of shilbiting go towards you when you're just some random dude who's done nothing wrong. Very unhinged, wouldn't want to be in the same room. Certainly not. Strange way to issue an apology. Why not share on your socials? Seems like someone put pressure on him to try and clear the air, makes us forget about it all. Like, well, to be honest, you've made accusations towards someone. You've said you got receipts. You've said they're shield bidding. Like, you don't need a whole lot of pressure on you to sort of set the record straight, because that seems a pretty crystal clear way to get a lawsuit sent your way. I mean, I'm just trying to see here if he's since deleted his Instagram. Let me just see. His Instagram is still there, so he hasn't posted it, but I guess he hasn't logged into his Instagram. So he could post it on his Instagram. That'd help, because he's got 20,000 followers. But yeah, we have to keep calling out bad behavior in the community and hope it dissuades others from mimicking those auctions. Shield bidding cannot be tolerated. I completely agree. Teapot revealed that P. Ryan spoke to Jeff, asking for Jeff to remove a video about it all when the news broke. I think Jeff said the same thing. We also saw Neo remove a video as well. Some strange things happening. You're donating money to Habitat for Humanity before I break into some homes. I'm happy to take donations, Patrick, if you want to send some my way. He's like a bully until someone fights back. Seems to have a weird personality, to be honest. I've seen a lot of his lives. I'm sure you guys have as well. He crashes out on people in the comments. He's got like a short temper. I think or it seems to be that he's got a short temper. He seems to, react poorly to some messages. He gets distracted really easily. He seems very reactionary for somebody that shouldn't be like that. You've got all the money in the world. You shouldn't be getting your back arched up for silly things. So, I don't know. Hopefully he's getting the help he needs, to be honest. We can't bid on our own product. What? I agree. Pretty much, Orlando. P. Ryan pissed off the GOATs with his signature GOAT slab presentation video with Brady shows discussed. What did he do? Sorry, how did he piss them off? Seems like he going to be the fall guy in this one and bury the story for the rest of the Shillers. I feel like there's a lot of known information out there. Like you've seen it, right? So let's sort of see what happens. Like he seemed pretty vindicated in the information he had. So maybe just trying to save it for a rainy day. He threatened Neo and Sports Card Dad and they backed down and took videos down. I don't think he said anything to Sports Card Dad. I know Neo basically said he was contacted, but I don't know if Sports Card Dad was. What I assume happened is that Neo was contacted. He didn't want the stress, like he said, so he took the video down. And then because he and Dustin are close, he probably said something to Dustin, and then Dustin went ahead and deleted it just to try and get in front of it. I'm assuming. There's no way to prove eBay shield bidding unless you're writing research extremely close. I think if you look at the bid history, there's ways to do it, right? I've shown that before on the channel. I think I've got a YouTube short that you can watch. You can actually look at the bid activity of people that you're bidding against for that particular seller, and oftentimes you'll see them be quite high, and that's a good indication that shield bidding is going on. Shield bidding should be a bannable offense. I completely agree. Be curious to see what Fanatics find out with their investigation that Patrick said was happening on those Instagram stories. Because I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a perma ban, to be honest, which is shit for him, especially if it was an accident. But like I've said before, it may have been an accident, right? We could have bought that from the get-go, but the fact that his story changed makes it really hard to believe. It went from doing it intentionally to watch your cards to then, or card, he bid on one, allegedly, or confirmed, to then, doing it by accident. So, I don't know, the whole story is a bit confusing. Like, to go from saying, hey, I did it to watch my items, and then I did it by accident, it's just weird. That ruins the whole story, in my opinion. And maybe he's panicking, but like, fuck, just tell the truth from the get-go. Remember the shield bidding started 1 week before the National when Jeff was pumping PSA 10 cards of GOATs. I think shield bidding is happening constantly, right? I think we're naive. We think it's happening, at certain periods. Sure, you might see peaks and troughs, but it's fundamentally happening all the time. These influencers are starting to lose their grip on the brainwashing aspect of the hobby. We're starting to see how the magician performed his magic. Yeah, we're getting to see behind the curtain, right? I've read more coherent drunk tweets after 2 a.m. than Husky Man's social media posts. The response was very similar to the shit that Trump does, deflect and blame the other person to get the heat off him. I think that's going to get a lot of comments in this. Keep politics to yourselves, guys, please. Shilling may slow auction houses mess with reserve bidding. I don't think anything's going to change, to be perfectly honest with you, mate, because this stuff has been going on for ages. Like, there's nothing new with this. Every auction house does shady shit like this. Their terms and conditions suck. And obviously, Jeremy Lee's working on that book that's going to talk about the terms and conditions. Now, it's interesting that it's a book because, it means it's going to be at a point in time. So it's not going to be, super relevant as soon as they start changing them. But I think it's going to be good that it's bringing this sort of stuff to light. And I think Jeremy's going live in a couple of hours where he's actually going to talk about the appendix where all these terms and conditions are detailed out. And it's one of those things that I think, needs to be corrected, but it won't, because it's been like this forever. Every auction house is like this. This is not new. And I don't think people really give a shit, to be perfectly honest with you, because people go ahead and still use them. It's just wild to me. The man behind the curtain has been exposed. Yeah, exactly. Has anyone contacted the FBI regarding this fraud to be exposed? I'm assuming they have. Is it big enough that they care? I don't know. He was told by the GOAT not to present it in public and did it anyway. Which GOAT? Who told him what the single sheet of paper with Babe Ruth and Messi and all that? Oh, I'm assuming you mean Jordan, right? Neo contacted Dustin, which it makes sense to me. Unless P. Ryan shares the bid history, no one believes him. I agree. That's something I called from the get-go. I can understand there's issues there. Like, what he talked about, right, with Acquire was that they wanted to protect customer information. So maybe there's something there in the T's and C's that means you can't share it. But, like, when you've got accusations going towards you about shield bidding and market manipulation and potentially all these things that could be incredibly defamatory, all it takes is one screenshot to go on your phone, scroll through and say, hey, these are all the things that I bid on. These are all the cards that I can sign from Acquire or with Acquire. Bang, done, conversation finished. I find it really odd that he couldn't do that. Now, maybe there are T's and C's. Maybe there's some legal implications for him. But I think that's a better outcome to have to deal with given the situation. I think the optics of it, I don't think Acquire would have had an issue with that. But again, that's just my personal opinion. All they do is show it. We'll have a good rest of the morning. Head to bed. I hope you have a good night, mate. Tricked Tom Brady into presenting it for him. Right. Is this the new, sorry, my kid, but yes, it certainly feels like that, to be honest. I just had my video removed because I revealed eBay's authentication address. Doesn't everyone see that though? Don't, when you sell a card, you see the address? Or do they ship it somewhere else to an undisclosed location? Happy to chat on Instagram if you want to talk through it a bit more. The comps are faker than Trump pretending to care about poor people. Get politics out of it, mate. I'm an Aussie, I don't really give a shit, to be honest. I'm surprised he didn't release a statement that said it's just a prank. That's pretty much what this was, right? Wasn't Probston involved with their own issues before leaving eBay? I think they've had shipping accusations go to them forever. But like, keep in mind, like them as a seller on eBay, it's really hard. It's really hard to sort of stop the shill bidding because it's an eBay problem. Now, sure, could they have been more proactive with banning certain accounts where they go unpaid and there's trends and history there, like DC Sports Cards does? Yes. But it is what it is. Trump's honor is clean. Teflon Dan. Orange Man good. You're going to kick off the comments now. Did you see that they robbed Tom Card? I cannot talk. Did you see that they robbed Tom Brady Card Vault store in New York City? 10K in cards and merch. No, I didn't. When did that happen? Was that today? P. Ryan, are you here? Maybe this will help people think more critically about comms. I agree, but like again, people just don't give a shit, mate. Like so much people in this space now just care about making that next buck. And I think collectors will be more critical, and I think people that are on social media will be more critical. But for the most part, people just want to make the money, right? They don't care. They want to move on to the next sucker. And it goes to the same things with PSA's grading guarantee. It's the collectors getting burned and everyone else getting to benefit. I was told that there is some fraud being investigated on YouTube, eBay related. I'm happy for you to share more details on that if you have some time. No, here's a bidder can share his bids. Oh, I agree. That's what I mean. But there might, because he may have bid on more of his cards, there might be an implication there on not just for himself, obviously, because that's common sense, because he doesn't want to share that if that is in fact what happened. But maybe because it shows his consigned cards, there's some legal thing there. But that just seems like a bullshit thing. Maybe now that I've thought through it more, that doesn't make sense. I don't know why he wouldn't share it, other than the fact it might prove him to be more guilty. I did see the Tom Brady store get robbed. Might have been Eli's been stealing from Tom for years. I'll check it out after this, after I get off. What are your thoughts on Probston leaving eBay? He was someone always accused of shill bidding activity. I just sort of explained earlier, but from my perspective, I don't think it makes sense. Like, I said this the other day when I did the video, like, who's going to go ahead and use his platform now? Like, who's going to leave eBay to go sell with him as opposed to selling with a Golden or Fanatics, right? Because he's got a new business now. The benefit to using him was he was so big on eBay. So if you're going to consign cards on eBay, you're going to go to him. But now you're probably going to go to DC Sports or someone else. But if you're going to consign cards off eBay, which is a much more cumbersome process, you're not going to go to him, at least in my opinion. You're going to go to Golden. You're going to go to Heritage. You're going to go to Fanatics Collect. Like these businesses that have been established and doing it for a long time. And sure, you can say, well, it's the same business selling them on eBay versus, on their own private auction house. But the experience isn't the same because they're not doing it through eBay anymore. It's a new platform. Is that platform going to work? Do people know about that platform? Are people going to be actively looking at it? Are you going to get the same number of views as you would get on there versus eBay versus Golden versus Fanatics Collect? Probably not. So that's why I don't think it makes sense. I'm curious to see if it's going to be successful or not, but there are so many questions there that it just doesn't make sense to me. Yesterday, so I'll go ahead and check it out. Trends in history sounds like a way to recognize shilling. It's obvious, it's pretty crystal clear, right? It's proving everything, right? Show it and you'll be fine. Card vault, yeah, so it's not really a vault anymore, right? A single man bought 9K of cards at the store and his credit card got declined and he walked out anyway. What? From the card store? Is that how it was stolen? So it wasn't even actually like breaking in. It was simply just not paying and doing a runner. That's pretty wild. Probston reminds of Mr. Burns. Apologies, you can hear my son screaming in the background. He's gone bonkers. The Tom Brady vault. Seeing predictions of stock market crash with the AI bubble speculated to burst. How fast do you see the card market being impacted of such an event and to what scale? It'd be the same post-boom, right? Like, people clearly are spending money here because it's seen as a luxury good for a lot of people. And yeah, I don't know. I've not been paying super close attention other than the fact that my crypto portfolio has died in the arse. But yeah, can you hear what you guys think? He's doing way, way too much for a simple mistake. It just seems like he's the one that's kept it in the news, right? Which is really weird. I don't care about comms, I'm assuming. This is what I want to pay. If bid is not high enough, oh well, I move on. That's fair. But most people don't work like that, right? There was Deflategate with Tom Brady for a while there with one particular seasonal game, wasn't there? The real question is TCG is outselling sports card right now, and then TCG crashes, it'll crash even harder than sports cards. I completely agree, because again, those things are not scarce. They're overprinted a lot more than what people think. And yes, there's a lot more consumers and collectors that want to collect that sort of stuff, especially Pokemon. But how rare are some of these things? You've got cards that are being printed in the thousands and thousands that are just millions, I should say, millions, that are selling for more than like your first edition cards. That makes no sense. They're actually scarce because nobody kept them. Yeah. Fuck, I'm behind on comments. Sorry, guys. People paying $3K for a Pokemon PSA 10 card. Which is exactly what I just said. Yeah, in comms, I got what you meant. Boo's a good one. Thanks for pumping my ego. I'd rather consign with an eBay consign. Like, yeah, I agree. Like, eBay makes more sense because there's so many more customers on there. You've got a new business. Like, are you going to get the traction on there versus all the others? No, I just don't know why people would pick him over, a Golden, unless he guaranteed them a fixed price. Like, he guaranteed them, like, let's say you're selling a $100,000 card and he said, I'll give you 80 grand. I'm not going to charge you any commission. And I'm not going to charge the person buying it potentially any commission, because they want to try and, get people using the platform, but you're not going to get the same views. It's not going to work from the get-go. And I think anybody that goes on there and consigns initially is going to get scammed pretty hard or burned pretty hard. Exactly. There's like 40,000 of these and they're selling for over $1,000. It's insane. Don't forget to send payment. I'm not sure what that's in relation to. What makes Fanatics collect any more palatable than Probstein? Simply for the fact they've been around. Right? PWCC's been around for a long time. They've clearly got a lot of traction. There's clearly record-breaking sales happen on there. They're clearly getting customers go ahead and use their platform. Probstein is brand new and has not had any of that, right? So as a seller, you're going to be going ahead and using that platform, risking that you're going to get far less eyes looking at your card. And if you're trying to maximize your value, which is why you're taking it to an auction house in the first place, he's probably the bottom of the list, because you're running the risk already of not making as much money as what you should. When is a good age for a kid to start cutting the grass? Well, my son's 18 months old, so I'll let you know soon. My dad did it for me actually the other day when they came and babysit my son while I was at work, so that's why I'm not doing it today, mate. So good eyes. The account running social media account, PSA eBay Vault official, sent me some nasty comments recently. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm happy to have a chat. Bitcoin down big this month. I agree. I'm not sure what you're referring to here. You mean like comms or me? I haven't seen you in a few years. What did I miss? Not a whole lot. I've lost more hair and lost a lot of fat, which is good. Ultra modern cards crashing are probably not that far behind. Anything remotely risky gets dumped first, which is why I think you're seeing big time collectors start selling cards, right? Because they're trying to cash in while they can. Definitely been shilling for a while. There's a video of recently released by Chasing Cardpool. The guest sold his whole sports card collection to buy TCG. Stupid. Like, fuck. TCG. Come on, guys. If you've got big money in TCG, be very, very careful. Yeah, and exactly. It's selling for $1,000. It's insane. I'm pretty sure the what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? The market cap for this card is bigger than a PSA 10 Jordan. It's insane. It's insane. Could he have been forced to leave eBay? Strange move that will fall flat. Potentially. But why would they force him? They'd be making so much money off him. Just through volume alone. I don't know. What about the action that shilling creates on the auction, especially if you can see shilling create fake narrative of a hot auction? Not sure what you mean there, sorry. How's it going, mate? TCG print runs are outlandish. They don't even tell you what they are. And they can print them for as long as they want. Like, that's why we're fortunate that we've got serial numbered cards and sports cards, so you can sort of hyper focus in. You've got better sets, cooler looking cards. You can focus in on those. But when you've got 100,000 cards being printed year on year, it's crazy to me. Give me 1 second. I messaged my wife something. Sorry, guys, just give me a sec. Keep dropping those comments, and I'll bring up the PSA grading guarantee when I'm done. Because I spoke about this in a video as well. And I really want to chat to you guys about it. Let me just fix these comments quickly so I can make it a bit smaller so you can read. I'm going to get rid of the little comment thing on the right so you can read it a bit better. And then get rid of this shit. Okay. Now, I talked about this in a video recently. And let me know if that's showing up okay for you guys on the screen. I think if I make it zoom in a bit more, it's probably not going to read too well. We can talk through this if you've got any questions about it, because people still don't understand what you are and not protected by when it comes to PSA's grading guarantee. So yeah, start dropping some questions. I just need to see if I can get this password working for her. Sorry guys, give me 1 sec. Two live streams. Yeah, it shows up. It's a new feature in StreamYard. It lets you what's what I'm looking for. It lets you stream horizontally and vertically now, apparently. So it's for people that want to watch it on YouTube with a vertical view. If I'm going to bid on eBay, I look at the bid history. If I see 1 or 2 people bidding up a card, I won't bid, especially if the bid history is like 100% for that person. It's like it's a no-brainer. The chasing card episode was weird, and it wasn't Pokemon he was moving into, it was One Piece. Even weirder, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, stuff like that does not seem sustainable long term. 1 billion Pokemon cards issued each year. 1 billion, exactly. Dan, I know you collect toys too. Any chance you're going to make a channel about toys? No, and I don't collect toys. I just collect Hot Toys, which is like the 6 scale figures, 1/6 scale. And the only ones I have are Back to the Future. So you can sort of see if I move my head without bumping the mic. I've got the whole set basically that they produce. So there's the 3 DeLoreans, 1 from each of the films. And then I've got the Marty and Doc from the 3rd film, Marty and Doc from the 2nd film, and Marty and Doc from the 1st film. So yeah, the guy in the video just loves losing money. He probably paid well over 100K for those cards just to sell them to Ty for 70 grand. He probably paid a lot more than that, to be honest. You have to be insane to bid on a card right now. The whole market is manipulated. I think it has been for a long time, to be honest. Pokemon printed 10.2 billion cards in 2024, 12 billion in 2023. 2025 is looking to be even greater. Yeah, and I've been saying this for a long time. I noticed it here in shows in Australia. People were like, oh, it's just an Australian thing. But you look at these shows in the US now, and Pokemon is everywhere. And it's just hilarious that you've got people making YouTube channels about it that don't know anything about Pokemon. You've got people that were, flipping sports cards and now flipping Pokemon cards. It just seems like everyone's moved on to the next thing. Notice how Jeremy Lee said he doesn't believe P. Ryan bid up his shoeless Joe Jackson card. He said after auction was over, someone reached out and offered 50K more to sell LOBS. I believe Jeremy there. I don't know why you wouldn't. And whether he believes it or not, how are you ever going to know? Like, he's not going to know that he overpaid or was pushed up. And he was happy to pay those prices because he paid the price. So, I don't know. Once they bought their own printers, they cranked it up. TCG's quick money at the moment. Yeah, I agree. Derek Jeter PSA 9 is 4 to 5K. I think there's room to grow for certain Grail type liquid cards in PSA 9. Like, certainly there's certain cards that are undervalued, but there's just so much money being spent on the wrong things. It's crazy. Fine print mentions fundamental to PSA's reputation. Since when did they give a crap about their reputation? Apparently they do. And the thing that's super relevant with this grading guarantee is the first bullet point, right? So this is the remedies section that I talked about the other day that talks about what it is they can do for you if you do make a claim and they agree with you. It essentially says they're going to pay out on the card. They do have a cap of $250,000 per card. and $500,000 per person per your lifetime. But the thing that's important are these exceptions over here. And it's insane to me that people do not understand exist. Like, the grading guarantee does not protect you if you're submitting to PSA directly. Like, guys, that's pretty black and white. So if you know people that don't know this, start sharing it with them, right? Because this makes zero sense to me how people continually praise PSA when something like this is that black and white. The grading guarantee does not apply to you. If you scroll a bit further down, it also talks about the fact that it doesn't apply to, you know, misprints and things they've missed when grading. It doesn't apply to memorabilia cards. So it says over here, the grading guarantee does not apply to the authenticity or grade assigned to cards with memorabilia pieces included in them. So that means that I've got this Larry Bird Eminence card over here, right? So if this was in a PSA slab and was graded at PSA 10, I would not be protected, even if I wasn't the original submitter. If I bought that card, I wouldn't be protected. I've got some Flawless Soccer cards over here. I'm not protected because it has a memorabilia card in there. The grading guarantee only applies to standard cards. No patches in them, no relics in them, no nothing. So, guys, like, why is PSA the top of the pops when they've got all these exclusions in their grading guarantee? So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this one, because people are just so far removed from what it is they're protected by. It makes me really nervous about all the money that people have spent and they don't know they're going to get burned. Then tell all these North Americans how great Vegemite is. I don't like Vegemite, so I'm not going to do that. Tim Tams are, in fact, the best thing ever, so I do agree with that. We get lit for Volk Fight Nights 2, Brett. There's a fight on tomorrow morning, right? JDM against Islam, so hopefully we retain another world title. But yeah, stay tuned for that. So would it apply to the submitter if it went through eBay Authenticity and then direct? No, it wouldn't, because you are the submitter, right? You've bought it through eBay and it's gone direct to PSA, and maybe there'll be some, you know, leeway there where you'll say, well, eBay are technically these submitters, but if you read the fine print of their terms and conditions, they talk about the fact that it's people acting on behalf of the submitter or people, you know, in a related transaction to the submitter. So I'm assuming that extends to things like eBay. In that case, it extends to group submitters. It extends to like your wife submitting a card to PSA for you. It has to be like arm's length transactions. How legitimate do you think the reviews on eBay are? Do you think bots are leaving reviews? Like, for sure. I think bots are everywhere, so that wouldn't surprise me at all. You like you like JDM. It is too strict, but like I don't know how this holds up I have a hard time trying to understand how that holds up in court. Like, your whole business is designed to be the leading sports card authenticator in the world. Your job is to grade cards. How you can get away with saying your authentication does not matter and does not carry weight makes no sense to me. Especially when you are charging people more money because your cards grade higher. Like, that implies that the grade matters. That implies that the grade generates more money. And because you're charging people more, I find it really hard to argue against the fact that you can wipe your hands clean from having to pay out on your mistakes. I'd be curious what would happen if somebody tried to take them to court, to be honest, or try to challenge this and see whether it's legal from a consumer protection perspective. But I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's just the questions that I'd be asking. But he's not currently. He gave up his title, didn't he? Didn't he drop the title? It's not champ versus champ, but you mean champ in 2 divisions, right? PSA's eBay's authenticator, though. I'm not sure what you mean there. I just don't feel like it's at arm's length. So yeah, I might drop off soon. So let me know if you guys got any other questions down below. Let me know if you want to jump in and talk about anything else. Start dropping some questions, guys. We can bring these back up on screen again if anybody else wanted to talk about this or the Arena Club stuff. like I said, I'll try and start streaming a bit more often. And try and get a bit regular going. I think from next week, I'll start opening up so people can jump in and chat if they want to as well. Yeah. I just didn't have my headphones set up, and this was sort of like a last minute thing. But what I'll do here is when I get done, I'll set up the live stream for next week as well. And then I'll drop the link for people to jump in and have a chat. I'll try and get people on, like AH Sports if he wants to. Or anyone else. Just messaging a few people, sorry. Okay. Arena Club sends me a discount code every month when I stop buying. Can you share that with me? Because I want to verify that these emails are legit, because obviously I've not seen one myself. But I'm happy to talk about it. So like I said, my video probably I'm going to record tonight to release this time tomorrow is around this email here. Like, it's insane to me, and I've said it a few times now, like this stuff is incredibly predatory. I've talked about this earlier in the stream. But if I can have a few more emails to talk to, I can actually give it more substance to the conversation and try and highlight like where the issues actually exist, right? And it's okay for a business to want to make money, but to be so predatory about it, I think is where the issue comes in and where I start to draw the line. Hit the like button. Yes, that would be greatly appreciated. I think I've got a banner here that talked about that. There's also a thing there for ship my cards. If you guys want to go ahead and use them, use Cardman 10 and you get $10 off. And then we'll go from there. What influencer or general hobby person would I love to interview? Typically, like, I don't know. I don't get my rocks off by trying to talk to people, to be honest. But in terms of like the wider hobby, I think I could have a really good conversation with Jeff in particular. I think I was trying to line him up coming on a few years ago when I was a bit more communicative with him and his team. But I'd like to get him on because I'd probably ask him a few tough questions. Like I certainly would ask him tough questions. I'd love to get Nat Turner on, actually. If I could get Nat on or somebody from PSA, I would love to be able to chat to them and ask them questions about their grading guarantee, why they're comfortable charging people an upcharge, why they're comfortable with using comps that they do to measure that upcharge, and then be comfortable to not extend your grading guarantee to the person submitting the card, or not having more avenues for people to sort of make, claims against you. Like things like that. I think there's a lot of conversation that needs to be had, and that's obviously being missed at the moment. When is Jeff going to give back the PPE money? I think you mean PPP money he borrowed. That's a question for him. Maybe I can ask him about that if I get him on. Thank you, mate. So we are on the same page. Every single media outlet in this space have been purchased by a bigger company controlling the narrative. This space sucks, and it's up to the regular consumer to change it. I completely agree, and thank you for the $20 Vela Sports Cards. If you're not sure who they are, please check them out on Instagram. They're a breaker. They do a lot of good things, in particular for charities. And if I remember correctly, mate, you served in the military, or you are a veteran. So obviously, thanks to that, and thanks for your service. I think he has done a lot of charity work for that as well. So, go ahead and check him out. But he's right here. We spoke about this earlier, mates. I'm not sure if you saw it. But one of the things we talked about was there was something that was posted by Sports Card Nonsense. Let me see if I can find it on Instagram. It was about... Give me a sec. I don't want to share it on screen in case I show something that I shouldn't show. Where is it? It's not going to let me play it, but I can bring it on screen. This pelican over here, who knows his name? It's something Tyler, but when I try and click on it, it wants me to log in, and I forget what my password is because I'm logged in with a different browser. But the conversation essentially was, you're demonized for making money within the sports card space, right? You're taking money from a sponsor, you're automatically demonized, you're a bad person, the haters come out, and they're only hating on you because you're making money, and it's not fair that we want to make money and get demonized for it, right? When you do your job, you go to your work, you make money because you love what you do, and he sees this as being the same sort of thing. But like that whole narrative is just complete bullshit, to be perfectly honest with you, because the challenge with people taking money is the fact that they're not communicating right. They're not challenging things. They're taking money from an arena club, as an example, questioning people using women for marketing, but then won't question Arena Club for doing the same sort of thing. They'll take money from, Arena Club. They've got a young audience and they'll peddle that product to those younger audiences, right? They'll take money from a grading company, yet never use that grading company. They'll take money from a grading company and not question things around their grading guarantee because they just want to toe the company line. That's the problem. The problem is taking money and not talking about it, not challenging things. Like, hold people accountable. I said at the very start, I'm sponsored by Card Ladder in the last 3 months, maybe a little bit less. And it hasn't changed my opinion, right? I've talked about them. I've talked about things I don't like on their platform. I've talked about things I don't like about PSA. They're both owned by the same parent company. That's not stopped me from talking and sharing my opinion. But so many in this space, like people that are quoted in this, little clip over here, have done that, or at least turned a blind eye. I've not been super perceptive to it. Like, if you're seeing shit happen, call it out. Like, just because you're getting paid by a company does not mean you can't do it. And maybe I'm in the minority for that. You guys can let me know down below. But it just that part pisses me off all the time. That email reminds me of all of the US. Not sure what you mean by that. PSA is too busy pushing the comp narrative than giving actual service that they claim to be providing. I completely agree. It's just weird, right? They talk one narrative, then push something else. So there just needs to be someone with a bigger platform than me to hold them more accountable to actually improve things so it's better for everybody. Like, I understand their desire to want to do the things they want to do. They're a business, they're there to make money, but there's a way you can do it, and there's a way that they're doing it right now. And the way you can do it should be a lot better than what it is they're doing now. That email reminds me of all the political texts I get on a regular basis trying to get me to donate and money, asking me if I'm still around. It certainly feels that way. It's very predatory in nature. Dan the card man will save us. I'm doing my best, mate. How's it going? Oh snap, what's up, Dan? Down under, not much, to be perfectly honest with you. Any Lion news? That's the first comment that I've seen. That's a good one. I brought this up before. He's since apologized for apparently lying about Jeff Wilson and Teapot about shielding. He's basically come out and said they were unsubstantiated, and he's given an apology for it. Tava Sports Card, that's the word I was looking for. What's his first name? Is it Tristan? Tyler. I knew it was double T. Tyler Tava. So yeah, like, he's basically getting on a soapbox talking about and complaining that people are challenging him for making money. It's like, mate, nobody gives a fuck that you're making money in this space. You give a shit that you don't question things. That's the problem. Like, you got to break in. Let's take a step back. Let's go back to the whole backyard break situation, right? You've got them, aligned to PSA. PSA want to make money off them. They're clearly in some kind of partnership. There's those shady things that happen. PSA should have told them to fuck off. And apologies for the language, but they didn't do that. Like, why? Obviously, they want to make money, but you can do that and push them away at the same time. You can tell the guy that did all the shady things to go away and still have a relationship with them. It's just so weird how people are just so focused on the money aspect. Like, have a backbone, grow some fucking ethics, and do the right thing, and the money will follow because people will trust you and people will respect you with what you're doing. But no, people like to toe the company line. They like to make the money, and they don't give a shit. He apologized for Teapot and Jeffy Poo. Dan went into detail about it earlier on the stream. Thanks for the donation, Vala. I completely agree. I really appreciate it. Now what's that insane? Well, I can't read. Forgive me. One of my biggest pet peeves is that there is too much flip-flopping by some content creators. Do you think that this further impacts our faith, trust in the hobby and its big voices? I agree. I think there's a lot of creators out there that are sponsored that rarely take a position on things. I think Dustin, the sports card dad, is one of those. And that's sort of how he likes to approach things, but he could have gone a lot harder on some topics in the past, right? And he's obviously sponsored now by a lot of different businesses, so I think he could do more. But like I said, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, PSA, you stuffed up here. Like, we're going to hold you accountable so you can do better. I said it earlier about Ship My Cards. I've been using them for 3 years. They've sponsored me in the last 2 months. I don't have a problem with saying, hey, Brian, the owner, you need to fix this, or this is not working. And nothing like that's really come up. There's been some issues in the past where I've had delays with shipping, and I've had collectors reach out to me to try and get in contact with him because of my platform, and he's been really quick to fix things. Like, you don't have to be an arsehole about it. You can challenge things and want them to do better. Like, it's just weird. I think it was just a one-off, mate. You've made a video on Arena Club's practices. I'll check it out. Backyard had their own shilling department. I don't recall. You mean on the bids, right? You had people bidding up on the sudden death auctions, right? Yeah, that was an odd thing to accuse. Teapot shilling Pistons Commons. I agree. Makes no sense. I feel like you'd only say that if you had proof, but he's saying it was made up. So let's see what happens. Tyler is upset because he uses his kids and children as a centerpiece of his content and pushes and constantly promotes Arena Club with his kids in the videos. I've not actually seen him, to be perfectly honest with you. I think I've seen clips here and there. But that stuff is just super unethical in my opinion. So he deserves the heat. Hey Charles, good to see you. I want to check that out. And then why aren't you calling out Jeremy Lee for having people believe prices were all legit? Like, I'm not sure what you mean there, mate. Like, he won an auction. If he thinks he won it and wasn't should bid against, like, what's the problem? Like, I don't understand what you're asking there. Some rich man should start a non-profit that pays people for being ethical. I'd be a very rich man if that was the case. Thank you, Spike. Guys like Professor and Dan have inspired me to make these kinds of videos. It's good. We need more of it. Sports card investor, another guy brainwashing the public. I agree. I think his takes are definitely centered on the wrong things. But he's pretty easy to read, right? Like, if you sort of get what you get with him. So, like, people shouldn't be surprised by the opinions he takes these days or the things that he says, even though I still do react to his sort of stuff. It's pretty crystal clear what you get with him. So, people shouldn't be surprised. Looking at Jeremy's face when asked, he seemed unhappy with how it played out. Like, I think that makes sense, right? Like, he can think it was Shilbert, he can have concerns and you know, have to think about it. But at the end of the day, he bid up that price for himself, right? He bid a higher price in order to pay, right? Like, he wouldn't have won the card if he didn't bid as much, if not more. Now, obviously, like I said last time, when you're in an auction, you get a bit excited, you're seeing another competitive bidder go against you, you think the card's actually a bit more scarce, you want to try and win it, you've seen the interest. But obviously with shield bidding, the person bidding against you is fake. They don't actually want to own the card. So in that case, I can understand why he might be a bit concerned and thinking that he was hard done by, but ultimately he paid for the card. So whether he believes it or not is like, I don't think it's a big deal, right? P. Ryan just continues to dig himself into a deeper hole. Perfect example of when to just be quiet. Hey, Bill, how's it going? Good to see you live. I'll be doing this now, a regular weekly show, so stay tuned for that. Arena comes across as a scam like FTX ended up being, to use a crypto analogy. Then everyone that took money from them will have to apologize when it couldn't have been more obvious. I agree. I think the shitty thing here with this is just the way in which it's marketed and sold, right? The predatory stuff like you're seeing over here is just insane. Like, this stuff is not good enough. He's been saying everything in the hobby was on the up and up for years now. He sort of has to, right? Because he makes money off this hobby. So he almost has to be passionate and invested in it. Like, he's an investor in Tag, if I remember correctly. He's got his show. He's making money from all these auction houses. Like, I think he can be naive and genuinely believe what he's saying. But, like, the hobby has been on the up and up. Look, when you say up and up, do you mean from an ethics standpoint, or do you mean growth? Because maybe I'm misunderstanding you. Is this where we get together to crap all over Jeff Wilson? That's my favorite hobby. That's what we should name the membership on the channel. Instead of the Hanky Panky Crew, we should call it the Jeff Wilson Hate Club. That's great, you guys. Can't wait to see it and subscribe. He's part of the hobby Illuminati. Dan, is that Jeremy you're referring to? How's it going, Mike? I haven't seen you here for ages. I definitely would wonder at 150k wrong cards. What am I missing there with that analogy? My brain is cooked today, so I do apologize. But yeah, good to see you around. I think I'm going to do the show regular once a week, as I just mentioned, but I'm going to start doing call-ins as well to try and jump in off the hype that others are doing. Be a bit fun, get a few opinions on there. So if you want to jump in, Mike, I'll be more than happy to for next week. His face also read as though he can't do anything about it. Yeah, like, that's like, he can't, right? You're referring here to Jeremy again. Like, it's done. Like, he bid his price, it's done. Like, him saying he doesn't think it's shield bid might be copium, right? But it's irrelevant because it's done. You just found the video, Charles. I think in the end he likes the card. I'm assuming you're referring to Jeremy. You know, you're a breath of fresh air in the hobby, mate. That's why you've had my support and respect since the early days. You also inspired me to start YouTube this year, so I appreciate that. I just want more people talking about these kinds of things. I don't know if it's just naturally easier because Aussies are typically more talkative when stuff like this happens. We're pretty casual about a lot of things and we're not afraid to call bullshit out. But from my perspective, it's like, I don't have problems with people, right? When you see people like Jeff, people like actively hate Jeff. Like, I don't hate Jeff. There's things that he does that I don't like, but you know, I can give him a pat on the back for things that he does well. Like the trade zone that he set up at the National for kids to trade cards safely, I think is fantastic. Stuff like that deserves a shout out. If I look at his whole repack thing, I like the fact that he's thinking about working with, you know, a business to try and bring some credit to the process. Like, whether that works or not, who knows? But those things are good. But at the same time, I can shit on him for other things. But so many people get caught up on, just hating for the sake of hating, that it misses the point. The whole thing is you present information from like a based perspective. You treat it fair and balanced. You put your opinion in there, but you let people make up their own mind. And not a lot of people do that. And I don't know what's so hard about it. I don't get it. It makes me feel like I'm an idiot that I'm the only one, actively trying to do it from that perspective. Sports Card Radio had me thinking when they said Peter Lyon thinks people outside of his circle are idiots. That includes my fellow veterans. I'm a disabled 100% US Army vet, and I'm fortunate to be here. F him. Well, thank you for your service. I'm sorry to hear that, but a lot of people think like that, unfortunately. And it's not just limited to this hobby. It's like a whole thing with the rich versus the poor. We're always at the bottom of the totem pole, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you for your service, and I hope everything's okay with your disability. Welcome, Mr. Petty. Everybody's here. Cool. I think the issue with Jeff is he cannot separate a collector and an investor. I'm sure half of his advice is good for investors. Almost none of his advice helps collectors. I agree. But at the same time, I think he's at a point now where he's playing a character. If you watch, I don't know, when I see him get Christmas gifts, they're always card related. He's always talking about cards. They're front and center now for him. I feel like he's playing a character. And I think he's made cards his whole life. So I think he's just having to do stuff like this. I don't know if he's actually sharing his true opinion on things. I think he's just doing what he thinks he has to. And it's just become his whole, he's picked it up as, it's his persona now. Cards are his persona. That's the word I was looking for. It's like he's going through a midlife crisis. Thoughts on the new impact, good/bad, of Sports Card Professor? He seems to have blown up out of nowhere. He sort of did. I said that earlier. I asked him very early on if he bought subs and views and maybe promoted his videos. He said no. I did say earlier that I have a sneaky suspicion that I am still correct with that. But that's my opinion. He said he hasn't, so I'm going to have to take what he said off face value. But it is interesting. I think he's doing what others have done in the past, right? He's got a new lens on things. I like the way he's handling his live streams. I like the fact that people are going on there and talking about this sort of stuff. But he's not doing anything groundbreaking, right? He's just a normal dude like myself, like AIH Sports, like Sports Card Radio in the past, and they're talking about things in the hobby from a lens that is trying to educate people. So I think it's fantastic that we've got another person out there, especially one that's sort of blown up in the last few months. But I still think there's some, shadiness going on there with buying stuff, and he might not like me saying that, but I'm happy to have a chat with him on it and poke the bear a little bit. I'm having a bit of fun with that, obviously, but I'm happy to poke the bear. People are, but why? Don't be scared. Grow a backbone. We're the ones here with the views. We've got 50 people watching this stream. You've got Sports Card Radio the other day having 700 people watch the stream. The eyeballs are on us, right? My videos get a few thousand views every couple of days. The eyes are on us. The power is with the content creator. Don't be scared. You've got the voice. You've got the opportunity here to educate and uplift. Use it to your advantage. Who gives a shit what a business says about you? Amen, mate. Us Aussies don't beat around the bush and mince our words. Jeff is someone who comes off as disingenuous, and it rubs me and many in the wrong way within the hobby. I agree. I certainly see that, but I sort of see him for what he is, right? You know what you get with him. You shouldn't be surprised anymore. PSA 10 is at 4K with 2 days left when you can buy it now for 3,700. What card is this for? Sorry. But that always happens, right, with Buy It Nows. Buy It Nows always sell for less on auctions because people get caught up in the whole auction hype. Advice for investors is questionable as well, Rick. I'm looking through the trees and wondering if I can cut any branches. I'm still missing your analogies, Mike. They're going over my head tonight. Also, the way you approach the Collectors MD debacle, that was complete bullshit, right? That's what I mean. The guy, similar to what Mike Petty was over here, you can't see the forest for the trees. You have a video, you've got Arena Club as your standard sponsor, you've got a guy coming on to talk about addiction and gambling, and you keep the Arena Club sponsorship in there. Pull your fucking head in, mate. Where's the common sense there? It's shit like that he does that I think deserves hate, because that's just peak ignorance. And then when he got challenged, he doubled down on it and saying it was okay. And then eventually deleted that portion of the video, removed the ad. But it doesn't make sense. Every day is a blessing, my brother down under. Timmy, we missed you Thursday night. How you been? Professor getting popular because he's stating facts. But again, lots of people are stating facts, mate. He's not the only one. Good, happy holiday season. Professor's the best. No need to buy views. Been watching the professor for a bit. He's kind of mean, so aggressive, and people like that. Is he that mean though? To be honest, like I don't know where this whole shtick is that he's doing things that others aren't. Others have done it before, right? Like there's nothing new really. The only thing that's new is the way in which he's framing it with having a show and people coming on doing a live. Like that element is new, but in terms of challenging and topics and stories, it's exactly the same as people have done in the past. Professor's trying to be the Howard Stern of the hobby, and I'm here for it. Dodgers going to add some big free agents in the off-season. What? That's a real email. Apparently it is, yeah. And there's a few others that others have talked about as well. I think you may be correct about the sub thing with him. He seems to be trying hard to fill SCR shoes. Doesn't mean it's bad, but as you said, you've seen it before. To be honest, I don't think he's buying subs. I thought he maybe promoted his videos, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because some of his videos really popped off, and he spoke about this with AIH Sports. The one little section that I caught the other day was him about figuring out titles and thumbnails. But to be perfectly honest with you, if his thumbnails are what this YouTube algorithm needs, I'd be shocked, because they're not that flash, they're not that special. They're pretty lazy and crap, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, but a lot of them are in this space. And I'm not hating on him by saying that, but what I'm trying to say is that there's nothing really there that no one else is really doing different, which is where my brain went and thought, okay, maybe he's promoting his videos via YouTube to get more views, because he was getting, 10, 20 times the amount of views that others in this space are getting at the same time when everyone else is struggling. So that part is odd, where you've got established channels struggling to get the same sort of reach. That part doesn't make sense to me, but maybe it is legit. And I've told him that before, so it's not a problem. I'm not hating on the guy or anything like that. We get along. I'm happy to jump on his live streams. We talk. We spoke for about an hour the other day on Instagram via a call. So there's no problems there. I'm just trying to, I'm a critical thinker, right? So these are the kinds of questions that I like to ask. You're fighting your own fight with your niche category of cards. What cards are you collecting? Better than Howard. He'll talk with anyone. Awesome. Keep up the professor, which is exactly, I agree. I like that fact about him, that he's happy to have anyone on there, even people that he doesn't like. Jeff Wilson is today's version of Don West, but without the charm. There is no salary cap in baseball, right, at the moment? Probably should know that. He has like 100 subscribers. He should have 1 million. Not sure who you're referring there, Mike. Is that to Mr. Professor? How many people ripping Topps update right now? Not me. Product is too expensive these days. Challenging guests is a huge thing. So many media and podcasts give softball interviews, and we've seen that time and time again, this space, like when Neo had on people from PSA. Obviously, he's not an interviewer by trade, so it's a difficult thing to manage, but there's been lots of questions in the past that haven't been raised when they should have. What do you collect, Dan? What are some unique cards that most Aussie collect that us Yanks don't? I don't think a whole lot, to be honest. I think it's all the same. Like, we collect US sports the same way that you guys do. We're just collectors. There's nothing really different. In terms of stuff that I like to collect, some things I've picked up recently are some of these tobacco cards. Let me just bring this off screen. I think I've shown these off in a video, but I bought a few more recently. So I'm a pretty keen fisherman. And these are some tobacco cards, I think from like the early 1900s. I forget what year. But they're a bunch of fish that are found around Australia. And on the back, they'll tell you like what the fish is and give you a bit of a snapshot as to around like what the fish's behavior is and sort of where you can catch them and, what they like to eat. So I obviously bought this because I thought they were pretty damn cool. I'm going to get them framed. I'm in the process. I've got the full set, but I'm trying to buy this with tobacco cards. Obviously, there's different sets released of the same set and they have different backs. So I want to try and get some with the same backs across all of them. Like you can see here, these ones are made by Vice Regal and these ones over here are made by Capstam. So I want to try and get all the same backs so I can put them in a frame and have, the backs and the front shown. So it's at least consistent. And just hang this up where I have my fishing gear, to be honest. But there's like fish in here, like this one over here. It's a pretty common fish to catch in Australia. If there's any fishermen in the chat, it's a sand whiting. And then on the back of it, it'll tell you what the fish does, where you can find it, if it wants to focus, when they spawn, all that kind of boring crap. I'm a nerd when it comes to fishing. I love my fishing. So you guys might not appreciate, but I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, like Flawless Soccer, again, I've got some over here. I've sold off a lot of my collection recently, actually. I've only got a select few now because it's just really hard to chase. I felt like I was collecting too much. So I wanted to hyper-focus in on collecting some things. But I've since sold some things to try and consolidate into better cards. I'm also working on my back piece, my tattoo. So I need a bit of money for that as well. So that's why I've sold some things as well. I showed this a bit earlier, I think, Larry Bird, Eminence, first year, and then another one. And again, I've shown these before recently. I've not really bought a whole lot. The last things that I bought, like I said, were some more duplicates of these tobacco cards. So I can get that framed up and put on the wall. Good call, Charles, especially with the Hey Now. He has his Rat Pack of personalities that come on most lives that people get comfortable watching like yourself, which I think is awesome. To the professor there. Professors, Dr. Beckett, Dr. Schilling interview was pretty weak though. I actually hadn't seen that. So I have a hard time watching sports card content because I've been so busy with work. But yeah, I'd love to have Dr. Beckett on and ask him some tough questions if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But it happens, right? People on what you need to understand is when you're interviewing someone formally like that, it's a bit hard to manage the conversation because number one, this is not our day job. This is not what we're there to do. And things can get sort of lost and it's hard to sort of manage the conversation, especially somebody that's known to have been interviewed many times in the past or are quite experienced in it because they know how to navigate against you. But yeah, I think if I ever had individuals on, I'd actually give them the questions beforehand and I'd make those questions publicly known in terms of how tough they're going to be and give, Nat Turner an example to say, hey, prepare an answer and tell me why you're okay with this and then come on the show and talk about it. And people don't like that aspect, but I think that's a good way to manage it and get a good way to get people to come on. Professor's video started hitting my feed about a month ago. He's definitely blown up and he's got a lot of traction. AFL, Oscar Piastri, my brother's a big collector of his. I'm not a big fan. Dan got some sick Flawless Soccer and SNES. I see back there too. Is there SNES stuff behind me? Did you mean Super Nintendo there or did you mean... I don't think they're behind me anymore. They used to be in my older videos. No, I've moved them all now. Very cool, Dan. Thank you. I love the openness of these lives provide. Thank you. Yeah, Daddy Rick is good. Dr. Beckett. I sold into the video game COVID market, got 300K for your sealed signing. That's awesome. I actually had a pretty big collection. I want to say 10 years ago. I think I had 90% of the NES Parlay. So Parlay being the Australian version of the games. I had like 90% of that collection complete in box, pretty mint. And I sold it a couple of years after completing what I had. To pay for a holiday for my wife and I. And I wish I kept it now because I probably would have had over 100 grand. Very Aussie of you, Dan. Thank you. Fishy, 140K for Streets of Rage Trilogy still. That's awesome. This dude says we can't let him get a good deal. I know it's bullshit. Fishing, another great hobby. And I went on a big spending spree this time last year. I actually bought a bunch of fishing gear from Japan. The Shimano reels that you can get over there. I bought two Twin Powers. I bought one Twin Power and two of the new Vanquishers, which are like their highest end reels for spinning. And they were like 20% of the price compared to what you can get here in Australia. It's insane. So I went ahead and spent a lot of money and bought those and bought some new fishing rods. For the Aussies in the chat, I bought a few Miller rods, which are some nice high-end rods that actually make a big difference when flicking with soft plastics and stuff like that. So yeah, good fun. Just a shame you're a Chelsea and Eels fan. Chelsea at least win things. Parramatta hasn't, unfortunately. eBay's been authenticating piggy banks cards and I posted proof. They've been shilling on DC Sports cards and Props Team. Please let me know. Professor uses very passionate language towards the big dogs in the hobby content game. He showed up in my phone one day and wanted to see what he'd say next. How's it going, Mike? I think it's the only Celtics card that I've got like readily available, but I've wanted one for ages and I managed to get it pretty cheap. I think I got it for like $500 USD shipped like maybe 2 months ago, which I think was like dirt freaking cheap for first year Eminence. Obviously there's some nicer patches, but in a lot of his autos in his set, the autographs look dog shit. This one doesn't look the best, but I wanted a first year Eminence card. I wanted a Larry Bird patch auto for a long time. The flawless ones are far too expensive, so this was sort of the best I could get, and I'm happy to sort of keep that in the PC. The CEOs of the company was attached to multiple accounts I was sent screenshots of. Share everything via Instagram and I'll have a look. I sold everything except a few PC cards myself, keeping all 80s star basketball and focusing on finishing those 3 main sets. Australia loves The Simpsons too. There's a unique card called Art. So I've got a good question on this, right? I know Dustin has talked about his one quite a lot, about how we spent a lot of money on it and how he thinks it's going to be worth money long term. When it comes to pop culture, right, I get really nervous about those cards commanding such big values because in my mind, if you are a collector or a fan of The Simpsons, do you want to buy the card? Like, do you want to buy that card or would you rather buy an original piece of artwork of Matt Groening instead? Now, sure, those things might be expensive, but it just feels like a card is already a niche enough as it is, and then you're going into the niche of a separate niche being somewhat of a TV show. Is that thing going to contain... My brain is not working. Is that thing going to retain value long term? Like, if you are a fan of The Simpsons, would you not rather own something else? Like the same thing with like Dragon Ball Z as an example. I'm a big Dragon Ball Z collector. There's a lot of statues, a lot of collectibles that you can get, a lot of cards. But would you rather own those or a signed thing by Akira Toriyama as an example, the guy who created the manga in the first place? You're a fan of movies, right? Would you want an autograph card of an actor versus getting, a 9x10 print of the actor, which is going to be a lot more affordable? Like, why are people paying crazy monies for, things like the Art to Bart card? Like, sure, it's scarce, but do people actually want to own that? And that was a really shitty way to explain it. I see Neo in the comments. It's good form, in my opinion, to prep your guests, at least with a loose outline if you're having a heavy hitter on. I completely agree. And I know you copped heat for that. I think when the whole Nat thing came on, I think you mentioned that to someone and you copped some heat for wanting to do that. I think I copped heat in the past for suggesting I was going to do the same thing when the whole Evan Mathis trimming thing went on. Like, I almost had him on the show, and I mentioned I was going to give him some questions beforehand, and people lost their shit at me for doing that. It's like, guys, if you want the interview to go well and you want to sort of manage it, I think it's good faith to do that. If the person doesn't want to come on because of those questions, and so be it. And I know the whole aim of the game is you want to try and, put the person on the spot to get an honest answer and not some pre-prepped bullshit. But there's nothing wrong with giving them a question beforehand. You've prepped them. You're saying, hey, this is the question that's going to come up. And then if they give you a shitty answer, you can press them further. Like, I don't understand why people are against this. That was the other card that I showed. So I do have a Cannavaro from first year Eminent Soccer, from the Championship Calligraphy insert. The auto is not the best, but I've got this. I like the fact that it says 2006 World Cup right there. And he obviously won the Ballon d'Or that year, captain Italy to the World Cup. So a no-brainer. I don't have any Baresi, but I've got a Maldini. It's out of Select Euro, the Mosaic set. I only busted 2 boxes of that, actually. I busted one and hit... who did I hit? I hit a Nesta auto, and then I bought a second box that I tried to sell at a local show. It didn't sell, and then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to open it, and I hit a Maldini auto. So I bought 2 boxes and got 2 Italy autos. So I think it's definitely rigged in that regard, but pretty cool. Thank you, mate. Neo, tell the haters to blow... I don't know what you're trying to say there. Thoughts on breaking Panini sealed to grade versus keeping seals intact? I think they need to stay intact. Like, number one, you can't bloody freaking grade this. Look how thick this shit is. But yeah, I think it carries more weight being sealed, to be perfectly honest with you. And I don't know why people are focused in on cracking those out and grading them. Yeah, and exactly, because they don't understand how it works, and they like to talk, be armchair experts, armchair quarterbacks, as you guys like to say in the US. But in reality, that's how it works, right? Like, you need to manage it in a certain way, and that's how things go down. So if you don't like it, like, don't complain. Or if you don't like it, try and do better yourself, right? Don't give Neo shit for sending interview questions beforehand and then not do it yourself. Like, get off your own backside and make an interview then if you think you can do a better job. Thoughts? Yeah, I just answered that question. Welcome, Neo. Heat cooling off. You've done nothing wrong. I agree. Thanks, Mike. You need to expand your Celtics collection. I've got some stuff, but it's just so expensive. And I said before, I have a hard time paying money for cards. I know that sounds stupid, but to me, these are things I've collected since I was a kid. It's crazy to me that cards are worth good money. I feel really guilty spending 10 grand on a card. I've never spent that much money, but the most I ever spent was like $1,000. I think it was for this Andrea Pirlo card. I think I paid like 1,200 Australian, which is like 700 US. Like, I felt really good because I was like, I could put that money towards my kids. I can put that towards a holiday. Why the fuck do I want to buy a card? So that's why I don't collect a lot of things that are sort of high end or get hyped up. I just try and collect things that I like to collect that are cheap, affordable, and sort of get the fun of collecting. Suck it, Geo. Art the Bud is also autographed by Mag Granning. I also think it combines... I agree. I think people can justify wanting to own it. I think it's cool. You like to collect cards. You like The Simpsons. You want to own it. But for me, it's like, if you're buying that for investment perspective, is it actually going to be worth things long term? Because you're competing against other things that are more relevant to that TV show. Like, cards are such a small niche. Pretty niche market, that's true. What else is there here? I'm skipping a bit of comments because I need to go. I've got to put my son down for his nap in now, actually. So if there's any final questions, I'll bring them up on screen, but I'm probably going to drop off in the next minute. I said that earlier, but the little one needs to go to sleep. I'll join that as well. I'll probably be in there in the comments while I'm putting him down. I'll try and jump on to have a chin wag afterwards if I can. Sometimes most topics are too taboo to talk about, and shield beating is very taboo in the hobby, which is why I was so surprised Dr. Beckett and P. Ryan talked about it. Like, I'm surprised they talked about it and then decided to release it, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. It's like, like, who thought that was good to do? Good night. Lots of love. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Thanks again to Valor Sports Cards for dropping the $20 super chat. Go check him out. The guy's a veteran. He's done a lot of really good things for charity. So, yeah. Go on to Professor Sports Cards. Tell him I think he's a scammer and bought all his subs and his views, and he's a loser and he's shit for the hobby. So tell him all those things, and let's see if we can get him angry, and then I'll join in and poke the bear a little bit more. All right, cheers, guys. No more questions that come through. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.